everyone. Are you ready for a deep dive into the world of AI? I know you are, because let's be honest, who isn't fascinated by this stuff?
Right.
Today, we're breaking down this episode of Tech Talk Today, and it really got me thinking about how much AI is already impacting our lives.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you start to notice it,
Oh, absolutely. This episode really digs into how AI is sneaking into our everyday routines, sometimes without us even realizing.
Like, remember when self-driving cars seemed like something out of a movie?
Totally.
This podcast I was listening to was talking about how they're actually out there right now, navigating real streets and traffic. Like, whoa.
It's wild, but hold on. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break this down a bit. So in the podcast, they had this expert, Dr. Emily Chen, and she defined AI as like computer systems that can do things that usually need, a human brain.
Yeah, things like learning and problem solving.
Exactly.
And what I found super interesting is how AI has evolved. Like, it used to be all about basic rules and systems, but now we're talking about these neural networks.
Neural network. So for those of us who don't speak computer, what does that even mean?
Okay, so picture this. A computer system that learns like we do, but on a way bigger scale. They can process tons of information, spot patterns, and then use that to make decisions.
So it's like AI went from like doing basic math to composing a whole symphony.
Exactly. And it's this evolution that's letting AI do some really cool things. Like, have you noticed how Spotify or Netflix always seems to recommend stuff you actually enjoy?
Oh, all the time. Like, how do they know?
AI, it's becoming like your own personal DJ or movie critic.
It's like having a sixth sense for entertainment.
Totally. And it's not just about entertainment. Think smart homes. You can tell Alexa to dim the lights or turn up the heat, and it just does it.
It's like having an invisible butler who can read your mind. But it's not just fun and games, right? The podcast also got into how AI is being used in healthcare.
Now that's where things get really interesting.
Right. Like, imagine AI looking at an X-ray or an MRI and maybe even spotting a problem before a human doctor could even see it.
And we're not talking science fiction here. This is actually happening.
That's incredible. It's like having a second opinion, but from like a supercomputer that's seen millions of scans.
And think about what that could mean for treatment, especially for serious illnesses where every second counts.
It feels like we're on the edge of some major breakthroughs.
We are. And it makes you wonder what's next for AI in medicine. This is just the beginning.
It's crazy, right? Like, what if commuting could actually be enjoyable?
Right.
You're just chilling in your car, maybe catching up on a book while your car, like, chauffeurs you around.
The future is now. But really, though, it's not just about, being comfy. The podcast talked about how self-driving cars could make things way safer on the roads.
Oh, totally. No more accidents because someone's texting and driving.
Exactly. AI could react way faster than humans, so, like, think about all the accidents that could be avoided.
It makes you wonder how different our cities would look, Like, how would traffic change? Would people even need to own cars anymore?
So many questions. But there's going to be a catch, right? Like, all this AI stuff, it can't be all sunshine and rainbows. The podcast definitely brought up some concerns, too.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. What are the experts worried about?
Well, a big one is making sure AI is, developed responsibly. We need to think about the impact it's going to have on society as a whole.
Right, because it's one thing to build something cool, but it's another thing to make sure it's actually good for the world.
Exactly. And I think a big part of that is, like, just having open and honest conversations about AI.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the good and bad.
It's like anything else, right?
Mm.
Open communication is key.
Totally. And we need everyone at the table for these conversations, not just the tech people. Like, we need ethicists and policymakers and, honestly, just regular people weighing in, too.
So it's not just about the code, it's about the values that are built into the code.
Yeah, and those values, they have to come from a place of understanding what it means to be human. What kind of future are we trying to create? How can we make sure everyone benefits? These are the big questions we got to be asking ourselves.
It's like we're writing a brand new chapter in human history and we have the pen in our hand. It really makes you think, It's like we have this incredibly powerful tool and we have to figure out how to use it right.
It's a big responsibility, for sure.
It reminds me of that saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, that feels super relevant when we're talking about something as, like, world-changing as AI.
Totally. And that idea of responsibility, that's something we can't forget as we keep building and using AI.
So where do we even go from here? Like, what are the most important things to keep in mind as AI keeps, like, evolving?
Well, for me, it starts with education.
Yeah.
The more we understand about how it works, the good and the bad, the better choices we can make about how it fits into our lives.
It's like we can't just sit back and watch it happen. We got to be a part of the conversation.
Exactly. We need to be asking the tough questions,
Mhm.
making sure things are transparent, and, pushing for rules and guidelines that make sure AI is used for good.
It's kind of like we're all in this together, right? Like the future of AI is something we're all creating together.
100%.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Big thanks to Tech Talk today for, sparking this whole conversation. And to you listening, thanks for joining us as we explored the incredible world of AI, how it's already shaping our lives, and what it might hold for our future.